Hi, good afternoon. You're watching Closing Trades right here on 89. What a choppy day it's turned out to be. Just when you were cribbing about how the index has been so quiet the last two trading sessions, not quite. I can't say the same anymore. What you're seeing now is the index finally dragging all the way back to the green. But at one point in time, we were down even more than 100 points. So now back at that 19,700 thereabout mark for the Nifty futures. And it's a good recovery of about almost 136 points that we've seen from the lows of the day. What's pulled us up, you'd ask? It's L&T pretty much single-handedly, along with ITC, which has managed to perk up on the index. Reliance as well, which has finally seen some recovery coming in. A good 1% of a move coming in for Reliance Industries, and that's definitely rubbed off on the way the Nifty has panned out. There's of course Axis Bank, there's Adani Enterprises, IndusInd Bank. These are some of the heavyweights which are actually holding up in the market as we speak right now. So yes, pretty much Reliance, L&T doing it all. The broader markets though, one must add a note there as well, because they are actually outperforming the index once again. You've got a count of 123 standing to the advances with about 63 to the losses. PFC, REC, what a solid move on those stocks. About a 7% uptick coming in on PFC, 6.5% on REC. There's Manappuram, which is holding up by about almost 5%. And then there's Granules and Polycab as well, which are holding out very well. So Pharma, PSBs, they are the ones which are actually aiding the gains when it comes to what the broader markets have been doing. And yes, it's a little bit of a lukewarm trade so far on autos as well as metals. Who knows, maybe in the next 1 hour, they also manage to pick it up from there. But Anisha, what about the stocks in news this morning?
A lot of stocks actually have been buzzing this afternoon, and top of the heap, of course, is Senco Gold. That one is shining away in the trading session. Antique actually initiated coverage on the counter. They are quite bullish about the same. Target price is almost 700 rupees and more. They are talking about how the company, of course, will continue to have a stronghold in the eastern region, but they're also expanding their presence in other parts of the country. Pedigree is something which is quite strong. The legacy, of course, is something that has been commanding the brand value, but they are expanding in the north, and return ratios is also something that will continue to be quite elevated. In fact, going forward, they are expecting the growth rate to accelerate, and that's the reason Senco is shining away in the trading session while Titan is not. If you pull up the intraday chart of Titan, which we should, that will tell you that it's down almost 2%. So you are having a bit of a pair move there. Senco Gold is actually going higher while Titan is actually slipping in the trading session. Shifting focus to Manappuram, because that one is one stock which is high by almost 5 to 6%. The company, of course, is going to raise funds in the month of October, but there was an incremental news flow that came in during the trading session, and that's the reason the stock is higher. And the news flow was that the Enforcement Directorate has now been asked to return all the documents, and whatever was the pending investigation seems to have been quashed for now. So that's the incremental news flow coming in. Yesterday, there was a large trade that happened on the stock as well, wherein some influential parties have actually bought into the name. So all of that working well for Manappuram. Not working so well for Vedanta, and that's because Moody's has actually downgraded their rating. So that stock is under pressure today, and acute pressure at that 7% cut coming in. The outlook remains negative, and that is something which is adding pressure to that particular counter as well. But we'll discuss all of these stocks and a lot more with our guest on the show, Kunal Bothra. Naresh Mirani is joining us to talk to us about that. And of course, we also have Mr. Siddharth Khemka joining us to talk to us about the fundamentals of it all. Kunal, let's begin by discussing the market itself, penultimate day of expiry. How are the rollover situation looking to you? And there is this added flavor of some settlement holiday, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, so good afternoon, Anisha. Tomorrow being the bank holiday, so settlements generally take place following day, and it actually coincides with the expiry day. So no major impact on the market sentiment as such, but I think yes, in terms of the positioning and the closing of positions as well as mark to market, I think that could probably be delayed by a day for the indices, for the markets overall. Now, in terms of the index view, I think today is quite a handsome recovery for the both the indices, Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. The market texture in terms of the sector index is quite interesting because we have the PSU banking index, which is making a good comeback. The mid cap index is now coming back towards a breakout point or a swing breakout point, trying to surpass, I think, the previous resistance of 628 on closing basis, 11,628 on closing basis. So that could be a strong decisive factor that possibly we may not just see the markets or the indices getting to recovery, but the mid cap end of the market could start to get to a decent recovery going forward. Large cap stocks starting to participate, Reliance making a comeback, many of the other large cap names making a comeback. So we could probably expect that this may not just be a short-lived bounce or an oversold bounce, but this could probably be a start of a trend if both the large caps and mid caps start to participate. So all in all looks attractive, and hoping that this 9,500, 550 mark which we tested today could probably be a short-term support for the indices.
2364 in Reliance as we speak right now. Siddharth Khemka, hi, afternoon. Do you think the triggers are in place for a meaningful up move from Reliance from these levels?
Yeah, very good afternoon, Aisha. So I think Reliance, there have been multiple headwinds, especially if you look at in their last few AGMs, they have now heavily invested into the new age or the alternate fuels, where if you look at few years back, they were talking about net debt free and cash surplus. Again, with the investment cycle coming up, core business is kind of getting some pressure. The Singapore GRMs have come off from their highs, and that is also hurting the oil business. So if you put together all the pieces, the core business, there are headwinds which will not see recovery in the near term. Geo Financial, the listing we saw, but again, post listing there has not been much of excitement there. The telecom business has been pretty stable, and the retail again there is some recovery. So if you ask me, all put together would not see a huge upside, but I would expect it to remain steady, at least in terms of share price movement for the next couple of weeks.
But apart from Reliance, I wanted your view, Siddharth, on Titan versus Senco. Do you track Senco actively, and is there a reason why one should probably switch from Titan to Senco at all?
So, Anisha, we have not looked at Senco. It came out with an IPO recently, but if you look at the branded jewelry segment, Titan continues to be the market leader. So, I would not see any reason why one should exit from Titan, given that it is one of the select few large caps, which kind of we are expecting at least for the next 3-4 years to consistently deliver 20% plus earnings growth. That kind of earnings growth with the stability of the business, I think definitely warrants a higher multiple in terms of growth, in terms of expansion. The company has been pretty aggressive. The penetration in India is still, there is scope for large nationalized players like Titan. So as I said, with the strong earnings growth visibility plus the 20% compounding story for the next 3-4 years, I think in the organized jewelry space, Titan market leadership is difficult to be challenged. So we continue to be bullish on Titan, which is our preferred pick in that space. With the target price, we have a 1-year target price of almost 3,100.
Okay, that's Titan versus Senco Gold. That's the take coming in from Siddharth. We will take it across to Naresh as well in just a short while from now. But just look at some of the power plays which are actually moving up. PFC, REC, Kunal on the charts, and a big move today.
A very big move because these stocks have managed to surpass their previous highs, and I think that's a very strong indication that whatever mild correction which you had expected for PFC, REC, I think that is now behind us, because now these stocks have confirmed a swing breakout. The volumes today are very encouraging for both of these stocks, and the fact is that it's happening penultimate day towards the expiry. This could also spell quite well for them for these stocks going into the October series, because when you typically expect these stocks to show signs of a breakout volume spike into these names, it tends to have a positive effect for the next series going forward. So what we may expect is that the previous lows for PFC, for example, that was around 225 mark dividend adjusted rate. I think that should now act as a base for the stock price. Even for REC, I think that support of 250 to 45 could act as a major support. So keeping that as a stop loss, I think traders can hold on to longs.
Sure. Hold that thought, Kunal. Let's cut across to the event which is underway right now in Rajasthan.
ऑडियो नहीं है.
आपने देखा होगा कि जब रिसोर्सेज के डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की बात आई थी, राजस्थान सरकार के साथ सौतेला व्यवहार किया गया था. ऑक्सीजन का हो, हमको ऑक्सीजन दे रहे थे कहां से आपको मालूम है? डॉक्टर साहब बैठे हुए हैं, उड़ीसा, जामनगर, जबकि हमारे पास बहुत सारा स्टॉक या भिवाड़ी में उपलब्ध था. लेकिन मुख्यमंत्री अशोक गहलोत ने कहा चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए, कोरोना मैं किसी व्यक्ति को मरने नहीं दूंगा और भूखा नहीं सोने दूंगा। और उसका श्रेय अभी आपने देखा होगा, जब भी डॉक्टर सोनी या प्रदीप जो भी डिस्कस कर रहे थे, हाँ, तो उसमें एक चर्चा कर रहे थे धर्मगुरु। जब कोरोना आया था, सबसे पहले मुख्यमंत्री अशोक गहलोत जी ने धर्मगुरुओं को बुलाया था, क्योंकि मंदिर बंद करने पड़े थे, मस्जिदों का टाइम, इन सबका, प्रार्थना का, सबका। उनका पहले विश्वास लिया कि भाई ह्यूमैनिटी है, ह्यूमैनिटी को बचाना है, मानवता को बचाना है। अगर मानवता नहीं बचेगी तो फिर किसके लिए सिस्टम? तो पहली प्रायोरिटी सरकार की थी कि मानवता को हर कॉस्ट पे, हर कीमत पर बचाना है, चाहे राज्य का खजाना खाली हो जाए। और उस कोरोना ने इतने खट्टे मीठे अनुभव दिए, इतने खट्टे मीठे अनुभव दिए हम लोगों को, क्योंकि उस वक्त मेरे पास मेडिकल हेल्थ का स्टेट का भी चार्ज था, रात भर वीसीज चलती थी। उस दौरान सैकड़ों वीसीज, मैं समझता हूं 500 वीसीज, जिसमें 350-400 हेल्थ मॉडल को लेकर के हमारे रात दिन डॉक्टर्स, पॉलिसी मेकर्स, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स, एनजीओस, धर्मगुरु और लोकतंत्र के जो प्रहरी हैं, चाहे वो सरपंच है, पंच है, पंचायत समिति के सदस्य हैं, प्रधान हैं, जिला प्रमुख हैं, एमएलएज हैं, एमपीज हैं, और इररेस्पेक्टिव एनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी, सभी राजनीतिक दलों ने, राजस्थान की मैं बात कर रहा हूं, बढ़ चढ़ करके सहयोग लिया। उसका कारण लीडरशिप, इनिशिएटिव ऑफ द लीडरशिप। और उस लीडरशिप का जो इनिशिएटिव था वो ये था, कुछ भी हो जाए मेरे को राजस्थान बचाना है। और राजस्थान ही नहीं, दूसरी जगह भी हमने हेल्प की। मैं भरतपुर को बिलोंग करता हूं, और भरतपुर का एरिया यूपी से मिला हुआ है, जो बॉर्डर हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं। मैं बताना चाहूंगा, आज इसको बताना चाहूंगा, हमारे भरतपुर छोटा सा स्मॉल टाउन है, और कोई मेडिकल की बहुत ज्यादा फैसिलिटी।
Okay, just shifting focus back to the market, and insurance companies are likely to be in focus, especially the general insurance companies, because what we understand from sources is the fact that GST on health insurance may be reduced soon. This would be coming in the meeting on October 7th, which is lined up. And for senior citizens specifically, the GST might be reduced from 18 to 12%. Let's go across to my colleague Anurag Shah, who brought us this exclusive story to understand the implications as well.
So on 7th October meeting of GST Council, the Council is likely to take up the proposal of lowering GST rate on health insurance to 12% from current rate of 18% for senior citizen. And as per our sources, that Standing Committee on Finance has also recommended the reduction in the GST on health insurance premium. And it's a long-standing demand from industry, insurance company, healthcare providers, and they've been asking about the reduction in GST for better penetration of insurance. And as we see the latest numbers also, so now the health insurance, the biggest market among the non-life insurance segment. Health insurance consists of 39% of market share among the non-life insurance sector. And if we see the growth in the health insurance premium, so it's shown the continuous growth more than 20%. And till August, we've seen the number as compared to last year, the health insurance premium has shown a growth of 23%. So till last year, the premium was around 39,000 crore, but till August 2023, the health insurance premium has gone to 44,374 crore. So industry body also saying that if government reduces the GST rate from 18% to 12%, so there is no revenue loss also, and it's a dire need of industry to increase the penetration. They have been demanding to reduce the GST from 18% to 12%. So this proposal is likely to be taken up in the GST Council, and it expected that at least for the senior citizens, GST rates would be reduced from 18% to 12%.
Okay, Anurag, we'll leave it at that. Thanks very much. That's, of course, very, very important news coming in. The fact that the GST quantum on health insurance for senior citizens may actually be reduced from the current 18 to now 12%. That, of course, is an ET Now source-based info that we're picking up. But Siddharth, let's get your take on what within insurance plays looks interesting to you.
Yeah, Aisha. So I think if the news that you have been highlighting, if that comes out, it will definitely be positive for the general insurance companies, which have been hit because of several events in the recent past, right from the COVID. So ICICI Lombard is something that we like within the general insurance space. We have a target price of 1550. And within the life insurance space, I think things are now recovering back, and with the monthly premium numbers data is coming up, we are seeing strong growth from players like SBI Life, Max Life Insurance. Again, this was a space which was under pressure because of the higher costs and the sales growth not being that strong. So which is now, as I said, is witnessing a recovery in the sales growth and the premium collection. So we believe that the entire insurance space within that SBI Life and Max Life will do well, where we have a buy rating. And just a small correction, the Titan target price that I said earlier is about 3,600, not 3,100.
Point taken both on the insurance companies as well as Titan's target price. But you know what, we'll take a short breather on the show. When we come back, we'll discuss the implications of this GST cut on health insurance further with a guest on the show.
Back with closing trades right here on ET Now. Holding up for Reliance Industries so far, powering ahead for L&T, which is now up 1.5% in trade. Some of the Adani names like Adani Ports as well contributing to the move. And then, of course, there's LTIM, Cipla, Sun Pharma. Pharma actually is not looking all that bad at all. Naresh, any trends within Pharma that you may be picking up? Even the smaller ones like Granules are looking quite good.
So Granules looks the most interesting one, given the breakout. And over the last 3-4 sessions, it showed a lot of relative strength. The stock went into a derivative band, so saw a dip for a day. But structurally, the stock has given that good breakout about 330. The next target would be 380. And once it crosses 380, that is where the longer term trend changes for the stock. And there is a good possibility that eventually it could break above those levels as well. So the most interesting name as of now is Granules India. And in the larger names, should be watching out for Sun Pharma, purely for the fact that the stock is now getting into a flag between 1100 to 1160. And 1150, 1200 was the price back in 2015. So it could be interesting going forward if it can break 1160 levels.
Sure. Naresh, would you have a view on Manappuram as well as Vedanta as well? These are two big movers in the F&O space today.
So Manappuram looks interesting. The stock has gone sideways for the last almost a year, and the stock is available still at the prices where it was pre-COVID, as well as for the last 3 years, it has been at the 3 to 4 years, it has been an underperformer. We saw a big block deal also happen a month and a half back. The last breakout for the stock was 130.35. We retested it 3 times over the last 1 month. And now making a comeback, today's price volume action is an indication of a short-term bottom being in place. And if it crosses 150.55, that would be a fresh trend. So expecting it to eventually cross 155 and head higher. So a buy at current levels, a stop would now be at 140.
Taken. In fact, Vedanta, in fact, the metal space has been doing quite well. What's your view, Siddharth, on metals and Vedanta specifically? Because it's a very high beta name of late. All of these headlines regarding debt, etc., keep on circling around and impacting the stock price. For a medium to long-term investor, what should one do?
Yeah, Anisha, so I think within the metal space, Vedanta has been very volatile. There has been continuous news flows or developments with regards to the company, with regards to the promoter entity, as was the case today. But if you look at from the overall sector perspective, I think after having some pressure in the past couple of quarters, the companies have now taken price hikes in the last couple of weeks, and that is helping the change in the sentiment. And if you look at, this is one sector which is globally impacted, and the slowdown, specifically in the Chinese real estate market, is a direct impact on the metal sector. So don't expect a sharp runway positivity, but within that, selectively, some of the ferrous names we like because they have been able to take on the price hikes and a steady demand environment in the domestic market. So within that, if you look at JSW Steel is a preferred pick, followed by SAIL. These are our 2 preferred picks within the ferrous space. Hindalco in the non-ferrous space is something that we like. With regards to Vedanta, there has been issues. The debt is a big concern, and currently we have a neutral rating. So it's better avoided given the high beta and the news flows surrounding the debt as well as the parent entity.
In fact, let's try and understand what really is going on at Vedanta. Vamakshi is here to tell us all about the Moody downgrade and what's weighing heavy on the stock.
Well, yes, Vedanta is in focus today. The stock is reeling under pressure and it, in fact, has hit its 52-week low. And this is coming after Moody's has downgraded its rating for Vedanta Resources, which happens to be the parent company for Vedanta. And they have downgraded their rating from CAA1 to CAA2 and also they have given a negative outlook. Now keep in mind that this downgrade has come in view of elevated risk of debt restructuring over the next few months. They have also highlighted some concerns as far as credit quality is concerned, and that is mainly on account of the liquidity constraints. Apart from that, they have also highlighted that there was lack of meaningful progress being made on debt refinancing. Now keep in mind that Vedanta Resources debt to EBITDA was at almost 3.7 times in March 2023, and in fact the company have bonds worth nearly 1 billion each maturing in the month of Jan 2024 and August 2024, and they have highlighted that the company has not made any meaningful progress in order to refinance these debt obligations. They did sell nearly 4.3% stake in Vedanta in the month of August for nearly 500 million. They did also the entire shareholding in Vedanta, as well as Vedanta's entire nearly 65% shareholding in Hindustan Zinc has already been pledged by Vedanta Resources. So therefore Vedanta Resources has very limited financial flexibility in order to raise financing. So given all of these factors, Moody's has gone ahead and downgraded its rating on Vedanta Resources, which is the parent company for Vedanta, and that is the reason why we're seeing some pressure on the stock.
Thanks so much for putting that into perspective, but let's also put that news of GST reduction on health insurance into perspective with Dr. Babatosh Mishra, the Director Claims Underwriting and Product at Niva Bupa, joining us on the show. Hi Dr. Mishra, thanks so much for making time and speaking to us. First up, help us understand this GST reduction. If it does happen, how big a fillip will it be for the health insurance industry, and what portion of the industry right now is actually catering to the senior citizens?
Right. Thank you for having me here. Thank you very much. If this GST reduction specifically for the segment of senior citizen happens, then it will be a fulfillment of request, desire, and demands of the insurance industry, which have found a lot of support from various quarters. One of the reasons being that senior citizens, at that age, income suddenly drops. And the need of health insurance is perhaps the most in the segment of senior citizens. We are a young country, but nevertheless, our senior citizen population is in excess of 100 million and rising fast. Now, their affordability concerns are a big issue, and 18% GST on health insurance was coming as an impediment in accessing health insurance products for the senior citizens, which is very essential for this segment anyways. Now, one way to look at it is what segment and what percentage of senior citizens are already covered. But the real way to look at it, in my opinion, is that how many of senior citizens, where I have a strong belief and reason to believe that they want this product, but are not being able to buy it simply because it is becoming unaffordable for them. And a significant reduction in GST, which is 18% today, will actually bring forward a large segment of senior citizens to buy health insurance products, is what I strongly believe.
Think, Dr. Mishra, that this kind of a move will easily go through the GST Council because it's beneficial for both parties?
It will. I think everybody is sensitive to the fact that the country needs to take care of the senior citizens. Healthcare need is one of the highest in senior citizens. Healthcare inflation and cost of treatment rising is a reality that people understand. And globally, it is known that health insurance is one of the strongest and the most potent tools to meet with foreseen and unforeseen healthcare needs. And that way, I think it is going to find very strong positive voices across, including hopefully with the council as well, is what I hope.
Could you tell us what kind of growth rate is there in the industry right now? Because of late, the pricing has been one of the challenges. Apart from GST itself, the pricing of insurance has gone up as well. What's the industry doing about that?
Several measures, actually. One thing we need to realize is the premium or the price of a health insurance product is driven largely by the healthcare cost or the claim cost. Now, the claim cost in health insurance products, looking at various companies as an industry, would be in excess of 65-70%. That's a real claim cost. And the healthcare cost rising with a significant inflation that we have seen, excuse me, through the period of COVID and after, is something which is a reality, which has hit the healthcare cost badly and consequently the health insurance premium. Now, how the industry is responding is by trying to avoid significant increase in premium for senior citizens by giving multiple choice, a range of products from a very basic to an absolutely comprehensive, including OPDs, etc., so that choice is available to the consumer. Lot of measures like offering deductibles, including very small deductibles to start with, like 30, 40, 50,000, and giving copay options, to play with features to basically create a product that not just fits the need but also the wallet is something the industry is doing. A lot of product innovation, and regulator has been very, very proactive and vocal about easing up the product filing process, which has moved to an use and file now. So it has given insurers this flexibility to bring all these choices to the consumers and specifically to the senior citizens, that they could have these products as they need and fit their bill.
Okay, Dr. Mishra, great to have you on the show and get in that perspective. Let's see when this news actually comes about and when GST on health insurance for senior citizens actually stands to get reduced. But pretty much the same in the market while we are climbing up further. And by the way, now we're back at that 19,700 mark. L&T is now your top mover on the index. It's almost a 2% surge that you're seeing on L&T as we speak right now. Reliance, of course, also looking extremely strong. Axis Bank has made a decent move. Reliance now is sitting at a good 1% gain. And that's pretty much the case with the rest of the private banking names as well, which, Kunal, off late have actually underperformed, right? So do you think this is a move which can actually sustain for the private banking names, the large cap ones?
See, I think if it trickles to the larger caps, so as of now, it's IDFC First Bank, Federal Bank, most of the other tier 2 large cap names, which have actually started to perform. Yes, there is slight pickup of price action for the likes of ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank. But then, when you try and compare this with the kind of sell-off which these stocks had shown, these are very meager kind of returns. Now, what as a pattern we could be looking out for is that if these large cap stocks, they tend to see a strong follow-through price action, say for the next couple of days, and assuming the rollovers start to be a lot more positive on the long side for these stocks, then we could be looking at a much more stronger trend in the making for these names. So, with every new trend in the making, the market tends to identify a few leaders from these individual sectors. Now, whether it could be the likes of IDFC First Bank, Federal Bank, as of now, they look stronger with respect to the other larger cap names. But whether the other large cap stocks like maybe Axis, ICICI Bank, etc., when these stocks make a comeback, how durable could be the comeback? I think that could determine the way in which these stocks can move up higher. But yes, as of now, I would probably place bets more on these mid cap end and then watch out for the rollovers as well as the positive data points for these larger cap private sector banks. If they see a follow through for the next couple of days, then we can probably be a lot more bullish on these stocks than what we may have been earlier.
Okay, point taken. So that's about the private banking name turning a bit more bullish, or at least waiting for those signals. Siddharth, before we let you go, I want your view about real estate and the housing finance companies, because of late we have seen quite a bit of momentum there, whether it's the news of interest subsidy or the fresh IPO that we had today in terms of Signature Global, because that is up almost 20%. You have Hoodco, which has been doing quite well for the last, a week or so. Aptus Value Housing is perking up, and a lot of other names as well. What are your favorites here?
Yeah, so I think if you look at the broader the housing finance companies, the overall interest rate peaking out cycle has been positive for the entire NBFC space. And with the news of this interest rate subsidies, especially for the affordable housing segment, a lot of these finance companies which are present in the small segment, so the small ticket or the affordable segment, they tend to benefit a lot. So we have some of these companies, for example, Home First Finance is a mid-cap company in the financing space, which we like a lot. We have a target price of 1,000 there, which is almost 20% upside. Apart from that, we also have Canfin Homes, which is specifically in the tier 2, tier 3 segment. And within the overall real estate space, if you look at our coverage is mostly towards the larger ones, where their presence is more in the mid and the higher segment. So the likes of DLF, Oberoi, as well as Macrotech, which is Lodha. So they are not directly beneficiary of the affordable segment, but nonetheless, we are seeing strong traction in the overall real estate market as well. The monthly sales data, or you get news flows where these companies are able to sell luxury properties within 1 or 2 days of the launch. So that kind of shows the kind of appetite the market has for some of these luxury properties. So I think yes, real estate will do well. Some of these stocks, for example, our preferred picks would be on Oberoi Realty and Lodha Developers.
Since you're talking about the kind of off-the-shelf kind of inventory sold out that we're seeing, Century Textile was the one that announced that within 36 hours, one of their new launches got sold out, and it was another, quite a luxurious property that they had announced. The stock seems to have factored that in already because it's not reacting to that news flow anymore. But what is reacting right now is Angel One. That stock is seeing a perk up. Gravita India has also been quite a bit of momentum chaser today. That stock is almost high by 10-11%. And then there is some build up on the likes of BHL, etc. as well. In fact, Gravita is now up a good 15%, and even Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, which is high by almost 8%. Kunal, your view on Gravita, if you track this at all, and Ujjivan Small Finance Bank?
Yeah, I do track both of these names. Gravita looks as an interesting chart. The stock did not actually go into a sharp selling in the last 1 week, 10 days when the markets in the mid-cap end of the market was going into selling. In fact, the stock did not even retrace back or fall below its 50-day moving average. And this seems to be now again a breakout move for Gravita. Looks very attractive as a chart, and with today's volume, it indicates that possibly a start of a new trend for the stock price. So it was going into a very steady uptrend. Now possibly the pace could intensify for the stock. Ujjivan Small Finance Bank is also something which I do track. I think it was consolidating for last 3-4 months from June, July onwards when the stock was at 52 levels. 52, 50 or 49 approximately was the base for the stock price, and today again it's managed to confirm a breakout. It's typically called as a flag pattern for the stock on the daily time frame, and would expect the stock to now get into the second leg of an uptrend. So which means possibly we could be looking at least another 15 to 20% upside for the stock. So closer to 60, 62 could be the target range for Ujjivan Small Finance Bank.
Okay, on that note, let's start Khemka Go. Thanks as always, Siddharth, for taking the time out, and let's get in some closing ideas as well. Naresh, what's on your list?
So sticking to the same names, Federal Bank looks interesting. New 52-week high, new all-time high for the stock. Clearly showing leadership in the small cap and the mid cap banking names. It looks like move setting up towards 160, 170 in the short term.
Right. Kunal, what about your strategies?
So I'll go with Reliance Industries as a buy. Stock looks attractive at current levels, extremely oversold on the charts. So would go with the stock even after this 0.5% to 1% of move.
Okay, on that note, we'll slip into a very quick break. In nice recovery mode. In fact, we're pretty much at the highest point of the day. About a 65 odd point uptick is what you're sitting on for the Nifty futures. Back at 19,700.